talk about how life insurance literally saved your life. And obviously, people like there's a ton of living benefits to insurance, which is great. Obviously, you sold life insurance and still sell life insurance as a at a powerful death benefit play, which I think is so important for people to understand. The idea, and if you would have told me, okay, is life insurance going to keep people alive? It would be like, what are you talking about? That doesn't make any sense. But actually, insurance companies are better off if you live long. And as humans, we want to live longer. And so you guys have put together something that is pretty revolutionary, but it shouldn't be. And hopefully, every insurance company in the future adapts a side of this and helps people actually be healthier while still doing better planning for their future.
So, when Howard approached me with this idea about 2019, that one of the reasons it appealed to me is he was he was basically wrapping it around the Hancock Vitality product, and that was super appealing to me because I had the Hancock product. I was a life insurance. I was a Hancock policyholder, and I had been working with Vitality. I think Vitality started in 10 years ago. And so I understood the power of the wellness. I understood why it was important for Hancock because it encouraged people to live longer, which was good for them. And I saw the power of the Vitality program for myself because it allowed me to take advantage of some of the wellness tools. And that's kind of where the story started is I was rolling along as platinum in in the Hancock life insurance policy, and in last 2 summers ago, uh, Hancock I think Vitality took on Grail, which has a test called Gallery, which is a cancer early detection blood test, and I was offered the test. And at first I said, why would I want to take this test? I mean, it just like, it scared me. And then I kind of woke up one day and I said, wait a minute, this is like a win-win. If I have cancer, it's going to allow me to get after it earlier. And if it says I don't have cancer, then it's kind of a relief. So in October, October of this is a year and a half ago now, I took the test, and like everybody that takes the test, I had no symptoms. I had no cancer history in my family, so I was expecting a negative result. And a week later, a woman from their healthcare side gives me a call, and I knew that this was a bad call because they had already warned me that if it's negative, they send you an email. If it's positive, they call you. And
Oh
so
no.
as soon
Oh.
as I saw the call, I went, this is not good. And so she calls up and she said, hey, I just want to go over the results of your test, and you have a high incidence of cancer from the throat up. And I said, the throat up, like, could it be, it's potentially in my brain, it's in my, mouth, it's in my throat. She goes, well, our test is not that precise, but you have a marker that says you have cancer, a high incidence of cancer throat up. So I believed the test. I mean, I went to my doctor and he had a lot of skepticism, and he said, well, this is new, it could be a false positive. I said, well, we're going to start hunting. And I spent 4 months, 5 months hunting, and I just bludgeoned the medical system into a brain MRI, a full eye exam, a jaw x-ray, an ultrasound of my neck, just hunting from top to bottom. I'm a pretty logical person, and so I just hunted from top to bottom. Meanwhile, I had no symptoms, and the test kept coming back negative. So I went back to Grail and I said, all right, I'm a false positive. I want to retest. And so they gave me a retest, and the retest came back exactly the same, high incident cancer. So now I was like super hyper vigilant, but I was out of test, and all I could do is wait for a symptom. And finally, in June, it's like 9 months later, I have a little tickle in my throat, goes on for a week, like just clear my throat. I would have done this for months. It was annoying, but it wasn't sore. It wasn't revealing. It was just like clearing my throat, just like that. And but because I was hyper vigilant after two positive tests by Grail, I said, all right, that's the symptom. And I went to my PCP and he looked down my mouth, with a tongue depressor and he gave me a full, neck exam. He said, I can't find anything. And I said, I just can't accept that. Send me to an ENT, ear, nose, and throat guy. He has the better equipment. He has that scope that goes up your nose, up your sinus cavities, and down your throat. And it's more visual than just opening up your mouth. So he sent me to an ENT. He did the scope. He said, can't find anything. I said, oh. I said, I'm really beside myself. And I said, I'm not leaving until we find it.
Oh, jeez.
Said, well, I only have one thing left, and that's my tongue depressor. He said, so there's no awe in this. We're just going to gag you, and I'm going to look down your throat with a tongue depressor. So he takes a tongue depressor and jams my tongue basically down my throat where I reflexively gag like wider than you normally would, open your mouth. And he said, oh my gosh, there it is. It was 3/4 of a dime in the back of my throat. And he said, I don't know what it is. And I said, I know what it is.
Cancer.
I've been looking for it for 9 months. I said, he said, we got to biopsy it. And I said, okay, let's go. He said, no. You'd have to be under anesthesia for me to biopsy that because it's in a very painful spot. And I said, okay, well, how about tomorrow? And he said, my operating theater's booked out for 3 weeks. And I said, 3 weeks? I've been hunting for this for 9 months. I'm not waiting 3 more weeks. I said, how about now? He said, you're not going to like this. And so he just went in and scrape, and he got a sample, and he called me 2 days later. Before he even talked, I said, you're going to tell me I have cancer, right? He said, yes. And so he said, let's send you to an ENT guy. And he sent me to an ENT guy. And 2 weeks later, a day after my 70th birthday, I had this amazing ENT surgeon. By the way, when I came to him for the first time, he said, how did you find this? He said, I operate on people all the time, and nobody finds it this small. Nobody finds it without it either pops out of the side of your neck or your voice changes or you're hoarse, but nobody finds it this small. And I explained my whole process, and he goes, I got to take that test. So anyhow, day after my 70th birthday, he took it out, took 20 lymph nodes out of the side of my neck, and interesting enough, took it out robotically because, trying to work down your throat is kind of difficult with a big hand. So he took it out robotically, and the pathology came back 4 days later that he got everything. So I
Wow.
ended up with no radiation and chemo. And my conclusion was simple, that owning a life insurance policy saved my life. And if you think about it, Caleb, that is the most oxymoronic thing you could ever couple together and say that a life insurance policy, I'd been selling it for death benefit all my life, actually had saved my life. And because I would have never taken that test without owning a life insurance.
And again, I know that you probably know more of the data here. If you didn't catch it, how deadly was this cancer, and how
Yeah.
what would have, I mean, it's remarkable, but even people that could have taken the test may totally believe the doc, like, oh, I have nothing to worry about, but at least made you aware. And I mean, props to you. I mean, it's
Yeah.
amazing like how dedicated you were. I think most people would just be relieved and want to believe whatever gives them the best news, and you almost like wanted to find it, which I want to give credit where credit's due, but you also deserve a lot of credit for just taking responsibility of your health what would have happened if you didn't catch it? Would there have been a big chance of passing away, or just a harder,
Yeah,
recovery process?
yeah, throat cancer is a fast-growing cancer. There's a lot of other cancers that are slow-growing, but it's a fast-growing cancer. And you know, weeks weeks are much different than months. And so if I hadn't taken a test, if I hadn't looked, if I hadn't had this say, innocent, innocuous symptom, it was either going to manifest itself in the usual way by popping out of the side of your neck, or growing large enough that it impacted you from eating or talking, and then your prognosis slides way below 50%.
Wow.
And with where I was, the prognosis that my surgeon gave me, and I've had 3 quarterly checkups since that have been clean. He says statistically you're at 96%. There's no cancer survivor that's at 100, and so you should take 96 and feel pretty good about it, and I do. So,
That's
um,
awesome.
yeah, it would have been it wouldn't have been a good result. And what's interesting is one of my fraternity brothers, who I'm very close to, ended up 3 months ago with cancer in the same spot, but his manifested itself in a very sore throat, and it's spread to both sides, the palate and his lymph nodes, and surgery is not an option. And he's going through radiation and chemo now, and his prognosis is not near 90.
So let me ask you this: how much is a Grail test? Just like if someone
Yeah,
doesn't have the insurance, right, that you had, how much is that to take?
yeah. So $950, and there's there's a lot of different ways. I think Grail just announced that they're
Yeah.
distributing it through healthcare providers, but um, once it becomes insurance reimbursable, I think that's when it's going to become really kind of more universal. But
Yeah. But the point was you didn't have to pay for it because John Hancock paid for it.
yeah,
And I just want to come full circle. John Hancock paid for it, and it kept you alive, which is great for you and great for them because insurance companies obviously are incentivized to pay out later,
yeah.
and all parties win. And so I think that's a do you envision more companies getting on board with this concept? I mean, I know you I know right now this is not available for you. Like you have to have a big enough death benefit, even with John Hancock, to have certain things available. But do you imagine that this is going to be like the gateway to other insurance companies getting on board with this?
Yeah, I think so. And the reason why I think so is, um, early detection saves lives, increases mortality, or elongates mortality. And like I said in the beginning of this podcast, it's like it's been sitting there all along. It's a win-win for an insurance company, for them to be incentivized and incentivize you to keep you alive longer by early detection tests,
Yeah.
wellness motivation, workout motivation, all the different things that these wellness apps provide. But the healthcare industry is onto the same thing. They're teaming up with wellness apps now too.
Yeah.
So, but mine was centered around early detection, and I have. If you want a second part of this
Yeah, no,
story,
you told me early on that
yeah,
there's a part two. So yeah, I'm all
yeah.
ears.
So Hancock, as part of Vitality, also offered me some months later a full body scan by a company called Prenuvo, and but this one I had to pay for. It's like $2,500, but because of this early detection test with my throat cancer, I'm like, I'm all in on early detection. Let's, $2,500. It's priceless to me. So here I go again. I take a full body scan in November of last year, and it finds a couple things, that I knew were there. Like I got some arthritis in my right shoulder, my right knee, but it found a bump on my prostate, and I didn't know it was there. And so I went to a urologist, and he confirmed it, with a physical examination, and then did a biopsy, and called me up and said I had prostate cancer. So right now I'm working through that. But the good news, again, is he said you caught this super early. This, usually doesn't get caught this early. You got it super early, so I'm not recommending surgery. We're just going to do some radiation, and you have like a 90, again, you have like a 95, 96% survival rate. And so, you know, uh, but again, it's Hancock with Vitality,
Yep.
partnered with a company that has an early detection test, and uh, so is it do I feel like I'm unlucky that I had two unrelated cancers in my 70th year? I don't really feel unlucky. I feel like
Yeah.
I feel super lucky that I had the ability, I had the availability to
Yeah.
take these early detection tests that caught both of them early. So
Yeah.
that
Oh,
becomes
John.
the second part.
Well, I know that there's lots of people that will be listening to this and watching this that will be
Yeah.
praying for you through this process. And so, if you
No,
are, just please
I
put
hope
that in the
there.
comments.
I appreciate the prayers, but
Yeah,
I just think what I get out of this podcast, and Caleb, thank you for doing it, is I'm hoping it makes
yeah,
an impact on people that early detection, these wellness apps,
yeah.
whether it's attached to some other life insurance company. I don't think this podcast was designed to sell John Hancock necessarily, but it it's because of that policy that I had that saved my life and probably twice
Well,
now.
and I think John Hancock's a great company, and we've been grateful enough to be connected with them. I need to get Brooks on the show. He'd be a fascinating interview. And if you're watching this or listening to this and want to learn more, we'll have a link down below. And if you want to talk to someone on our team around John Hancock or what this program could look like, we'd be more than happy to facilitate that for the person that's listening to this and saying like, John, can you explain Vitality and what that is in your own words? How would you explain that?
Well, okay, I've overused this word wellness, but it's a wellness app first and foremost. And if you do certain things, you go up to certain levels and you get certain benefits. And some of these benefits range from big discounts on hotels to discounts on buying healthy food to early detection, availability of early detection tests, which obviously I took advantage of. Uh, but it has a whole array of benefits that motivate you to actually, walk through the steps of trying to be healthy, even if it's a simple act of walking each day. Just walking, not being sedentary, is a basic wellness function. It doesn't mean you're going to the gym every day and lifting weights. It means you're walking, and so um, it's it has a whole range of benefits that are attached to the life insurance policy.
Yeah.
So Vitality is a great company. Hancock's a great company. I appreciate you for allowing me to share my story.
Absolutely, John. Is there anything else you want to say? Like, you obviously you've been in this space for so long. What do you think is a big mistake that you see people making on the consumer side, but then also the sales side when it comes to insurance, talking about insurance? Like, you're
Yeah.
probably seeing all kinds of things, and I would imagine a lot of it is cringeworthy. What would you say in kind of your final thoughts as it relates to the
Oh my
good, the bad,
gosh.
the ugly in
Yeah.
in the space?
Well, on the sales side, that was my aha moment in 19, is that I just spent 30 years in a life insurance career passing up people like my children and passing up people that only made $100,000, only made $200,000 because they weren't the right type of clients for me. But almost all of those people need and can take advantage of the value of life insurance.
Great.
And I just, from a sales standpoint, if you're building a company and you're building a company like my company, also have a part of your company that's serving the middle market, is serving the underinsured and underserved marketplace, and that is clearly an underserved and underinsured marketplace. From the consumer side, I think I think the number one issue for me is jumping into a life insurance contract that you can't afford. And maybe it sounds like a car payment, and you say, oh, I can afford the car payment, but this car payment could go on for 20, 30, 40 years. It's not a 3-year car loan.
Yep.
It's a 20, 30, 40-year contract. And I don't think salespeople necessarily sell it properly.
Yep.
And I don't think consumers make the right decisions sometimes.
Yeah, I find that a lot of people, they hear the pitch and then they over-obligate themselves or have the potential of over-obligating themselves to a product that is amazing, but the product itself can create uncertainty if you're over-obligating yourself. And so we're a big fan of creating flexibility and minimums that are very attainable, for that same reason. The last thing you want is your safe asset to make your financial situation less safe.